a night where life often goes unnoticed. A tiny, helpless creature lay abandoned, alone, fragile, and on the brink of death. This is the story of Eddie, the premature bat who defied the odds, and Rihanna, the compassionate soul who couldn't turn her back on him. Together, they created a story that shows how one act of kindness can ripple through the world and change a life forever. Eddie was born into a world that was already too harsh for him. As a premature baby bat, he was too weak to cling to his mother during their nightly flights. One fateful evening, his fragile little body slipped off, leaving him stranded, vulnerable, and terrified on the cold pavement of a theme park in Gold Coast, Australia. His cries were unheard, his tiny heartbeat faint. The odds of survival were stacked against him. But sometimes, in the darkest of moments, the universe sends a lifeline. That lifeline was Rihanna, a dedicated wildlife rescuer who just happened to be nearby. When she found Eddie, her heart broke at the sight of this fragile creature clinging to life. She could have walked away, after all. There were countless animals in need, and Eddie's chances of survival seemed slim. But Rihanna made a choice. She chose Eddie. She chose hope. He was so tiny, Rihanna recalls. I could feel his little heartbeat against my palm. I knew he had almost no chance, but I also knew I had to try. That night, Eddie's fight for survival began. Wrapped in soft cloth to mimic the warmth of his mother's wings, he was carefully fed tiny drops of milk from a bottle. Every sip was a victory, every breath a miracle. Rihanna knew this wasn't just about saving a bat. It was about giving a life a chance, no matter how small it was. Eddie was not just surviving, he was thriving. Despite his fragility, he quickly revealed a personality larger than life. He loved belly rubs and would stretch out his tiny wings in delight whenever Rihanna's gentle fingers brushed against his fur. He began to trust her, and in return, Rihanna poured every ounce of love and care into him. But caring for Eddie wasn't easy. Bats, especially premature ones, require around-the-clock attention. Rihanna had to wake up multiple times each night to feed him, ensure he was warm, and comfort him when he cried out. Yet, despite the sleepless nights and the emotional toll, she never gave up on him. Eddie reminded me why I do this, Rihanna says with a soft smile. He wasn't just a bat. He was a little soul fighting so hard to stay in this world. How could I not fight for him too? As weeks passed, Eddie grew stronger. His wings began to stretch wider, his tiny body filling out. But more than that, a bond had formed between him and Rihanna. A bond so deep that Eddie would call out to her whenever he heard her voice. It was as if he knew she was his lifeline. But the goal was never for Eddie to remain in captivity. Bats belong in the wild, and Rihanna knew that her love for Eddie meant preparing him for a life of freedom. This was the hardest part, letting go. Eddie's rehabilitation wasn't just about survival. It was about building strength and resilience. Rihanna spent hours with him in a flight aviary, helping him learn to fly. His first attempts were shaky, his little wings struggling to find balance, but he kept trying, and Rihanna kept cheering him on. Every time he flapped those wings, I felt like I was watching him take another step toward his destiny, Rihanna says. It was bittersweet because I knew that each step brought us closer to goodbye. After 5 weeks of care, training, and love, the day finally came. It was time to release Eddie into the wild. Rihanna held him close, whispering words of encouragement. "You've got this, Eddie. Be brave, be free." Her hands trembled as she opened them, giving Eddie the freedom he had fought so hard to earn. Eddie's first flight was a moment of triumph. He soared into the wild, his wings strong and steady. Rihanna watched until he disappeared into the horizon, her heart filled with pride, sadness, and hope. Every bat she saw in the sky afterward made her wonder, could that be Eddie? This story isn't just about Eddie and Rihanna. It's about the power of compassion and the difference one person can make. Wildlife rescuers like Rihanna dedicate their lives to saving creatures that many overlook. Their work is a reminder that every life, no matter how small, matters. We all have the power to make a difference, Rihanna says. It doesn't have to be grand. It can be as simple as rescuing a bat, planting a tree, or supporting a local wildlife shelter. Small acts of kindness can change the world, one life at a time. Eddie's story is a testament to resilience, love, and the incredible bond between humans and nature. It's a call to action for each of us to look around and find ways to make a difference. Whether it's through volunteering, donating, or simply spreading awareness, your actions matter. Eddie's flight into the wild wasn't just his victory. It was a reminder that every creature deserves a chance to live, to thrive, and to be free. So let's create a world where kindness soars as high as Eddie's wings. Together, we can make a difference, one small act at a time.